Hello and welcome to another Revenue Roundtable. Joining me today, Ben Blaney and Robert Irwin. They're both vice presidents for different areas of our global value consulting organization. Ben, Robert, thanks for joining us today.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks. So we have three topics timed up like we typically try to address, and these are topical topics. The first one, there's a ton of noise out in the press. We're hearing this from our customers. We're hearing this from our prospects. Things slowed down, but now they're heating up. We're talking about inflation, of course. There's a lot of indications that some people think it might be peaking, it might be broad. Ben, I'll let you kick this off.
Well, I think Robert has some general views on inflation. I've got a super nerdy topic that I'd like to share, which is probably follow on from what Robert has.
Oh, very good, Robert. Let's talk about inflation.
Okay, yeah. So it's definitely there, right? We are seeing increases across the board. Ben's going to talk about shipping in a minute, but in the process industry, in manufacturing, costs are rising. And for the first time, inflation, if you did a Google search on how often that word is appearing in newsprint, in online research, it's on the rise. And this, of course, has implications for organizations. And it's been a long time since organizations had to raise their prices under the context of inflation. This used to be a standard practice. And what I'm seeing is organizations have really forgotten how this works. They've lost the discipline of engaging with their sales teams, working through those press releases. I'm taking my prices up. And what that means, right? How to coach the sales organization to take that announcement and understand how to deploy that into the market. So first of all, if all I'm doing is increasing in line with costs, then effectively, if I'm measuring on margin percent, I'm going to be losing percentage margins. The other thing is, again, if I'm only raising along with costs, then I'm doing nothing to change the variation, the distribution of price and margin performance in my customer base. So just because it's inflation driven, that's not a reason to forget about the need to optimize, select where you're going to raise prices more, and really look for willingness to pay, impact of those increases both on your organization but your customers.
Absolutely, Robert. And I think your point is spot on in terms of we've forgotten how to act in these. It's an old business adage. A little bit of inflation is a good thing for everybody. It lubricates the economy just enough so that things like wages can go up, prices can go up, standards of living can go up a little bit more easily. And it does open up the door for making good business adjustments that aren't just formulaic. But you did mention Ben's idea, his concerns that people are expressing about shipping. Ben, you want to tie that to inflation a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, that's right. There's a global kind of crisis in shipping. It's not just about the ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal, whichever one it was. It's more general. So there's a shortage of containers. Containers are the grease of the global economy, and the lack of motion forced a shortage in container availability, which is a problem for everybody. In addition, shipping rates have gone substantially up. For example, Singapore to London today is 5x what it was in 2019. Shanghai to Los Angeles is 3x what it was in 2019. Now, these rate increases are probably long overdue. That was a very thin margin business. And so the ship owners and the shipping companies need that kind of increase in their profitability. What is happening, though, is very interesting, is that the ship owners enjoying this increased revenue and margin from these shipments are instructing the captains to put the hammer down and decrease the time it takes from port A to port B, thinking if they can do 5 trips where they used to do 4 trips at these enhanced rates, this is a tremendously good idea. What I wonder is, what's the new normal in shipping rates? Will shipping rates come back down to where they were in 2019? I don't think so, because I think there's new pricing power in the shipping organizations. But if you're a buyer of shipping services, how should you respond? And I think the logical negotiating part is fine, keep your rates, you know, up high, maybe just a little bit down from where they are now, but keep that speed, lubricate the world economy by increasing the velocity of trade. And that could be a very interesting thing.
Sure. The assets are being sweated, you know, you're paying a little bit more in fuel on a basis, but they're extracting more cycles out of those ships. And yeah, that's a great negotiating point. I want deliveries on weekends. Okay, well, let's talk about a premium for that. Or no, I don't want the premium. Okay, so 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Absolutely. All right, so those two things really tie together our third topic, and that's about analytics. What analytics capabilities, what kind of analytical things would we be looking at to watch for actions to take on this? I'll open up to Robert.
So, I mean, analytics solutions are everywhere, right? And most organizations have a broad portfolio of analytical solutions deployed in different departments across geographies for different purposes. Obviously, there is some consolidation going on, and we really see the need for data that is available in different systems to be consolidated. So if I think about the process of understanding how I've set prices, how I've set targets, how I've negotiated, how I've transacted, how my costs have been impacted by that inflationary increase, that whole perspective needs to be understood. But the most important thing, I think, in analytics is the context and guidance that you can provide your sales organization at the point of negotiation. And if that information is not available to hand when the sales organization are making those decisions, if it's an extra step, an extra effort for that team to go and get that information, then when it's important, they'll do it, but they're not going to do it every time because of the effort. So analytics has to be about where do I deliver the information and not just about what is that information. Yeah,
path of least resistance, right? Making it available when people need it. Ben, how would you round that out?
Well, first I'd say, you know, I make it a point never to disagree with Robert when he's right. So I agree with everything he said. But I would add to that, you know, Robert said, hey, it's really important to give analytics to sellers making selling decisions. That for me is the essence of the next wave of analytics is, you know, everyone says, well, we got Power BI and we've got Tableau and we've got Domo and we've got whatever else. And yes, great, let's give sellers contextual analytics, but everybody else needs them too. So I think analytics is going to surface in all kinds of places where people in all kinds of functions do activities, make decisions, and analytics needs to arrive there as part of that workflow, not as a wholly separate other thing that you do disconnected from decision making. So I think it's, you know, that's the future is not very far away.
Absolutely. Yeah, this talks to the work around harmonizing data inputs, agreeing on KPIs, and that everybody's working off the same sheet, plugging everything.
So Mitch, if you think about that, it also needs to be packaged for the device that you're on, right? So you're on a mobile device, that's not just a question of taking a scatter plot and making it smaller, right? It needs the context of what I'm doing, but also where I'm doing it, on which device, and that needs to be built into these solutions, again, to make it easier for different teams to consume that information.
Absolutely. Every little step, because yes, we're not sitting behind our desktops, hopefully a whole lot more. We're going to be out there and mobile with mobile devices. Ben, Robert, thanks so much for these three topics for this quick discussion. If you're watching us today and you're intrigued and you have a question you'd like to ask us, reach out to us at profit@mondavo.com and we'll add your question to the next Revenue Roundtable. And thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. And until we speak again, have a profitable day.